My background, it's all right.
You're great, Percentie. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we are live, and I'm excited about today's conversation. We're starting this morning off. It's all about focus. It's all about focus. So come on in here. I want to see as many of you guys come on in here. I got a call yesterday from a friend of mine who says, Ricardo, where are your early morning lives? We haven't been seeing your early morning lives. Have you gotten burned out? I think, what's going on, Ricardo? Good morning, guys. Good morning. For Sammy, I think you got something else on as well. Or I think
Me?
I think you're good, Ben. All right.
Oh.
Good morning. Good morning, Pastor. Good morning. Good morning. Listen, I was asked, where's Ricardo Miller? We don't see the early morning videos no more. Ricardo Miller has established a private group. Okay, we have a private coaching community group on Facebook where I'm still doing the videos every morning, but I'm diving in a little bit more, a lot more, as a matter of fact, and that's exclusive. Okay, so on Fridays and Saturdays, I come out here and I provide this information just to continue to connect with those of you that are loving this effective living platform. But hey, guys, let me tell you something. If you haven't inquired about the private community, you need to come into the community because I'm not holding anything back in the community. But at some point, you got to get wise and smart at what you do, and not be giving away too much value when I'm getting of age. And the brother needs to make sure I'm taking care of myself. Okay. Somebody said there is feedback. I don't know where the feedback is coming from, but we're going to try to make this happen. Quintin Percentie, how are you doing this morning?
I'm well. Good morning. I'm Brother Ricardo Miller. How are you doing in Texas?
Excellent, excellent. Hey, guys, if you're watching in the Bahamas, if you're watching anywhere in the world, go ahead and drop where you're watching from. Good morning to each and every one of you. I'm so glad I have my good friend and brother, Quintin Percentie. Percentie, man, you've been doing a lot over the years.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
said I wanted to share and allow you to give some thought as to who you are, what you're about, what you've been about. Just tell us initially who Quintin Percentie is.
Well, Quintin Percentie came from a very big family. In my mother's house, we always had a full house. It was almost 1 dozen of us in my mother's house. I'm one of 8 boys out of that family, seventh boy in the list, and so our house was always full and always excitement in the house. Well, I grew up initially in New Providence and Nassau, and went to the main public school from William Gordon to C.I. Gibson, and then Robert Melville Bailey, Aaron Bailey High School.
Yeah.
And well, so initially Quintin Percentie is just what we call a hometown boy.
Well, you know what? I know with 7 brothers, 8
Mhm.
of y'all, you definitely didn't get beat up to the corner. There was
Oh.
no see. I had one brother, and he was on one of the family islands. And I
Mhm.
was in the city hustling and bustling, trying to hold it down myself. But I
Yes,
know
yes.
anybody who had 7 brothers, they tell us
That's a gang of itself, eh?
that's a
Well,
gang.
well, in the community, and having a big family like that, normally nobody will normally will mess with you
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
they're
So
smart.
don't mess with them Percentie boys.
Hmm.
That's good stuff, man. Listen, over the years you've been developing yourself. You and I came from the same high
Yes.
school,
Same
Aaron
high
Bailey.
school. Yes.
Give it up for everybody who went to Aaron Bailey.
Aaron Bailey.
Listen, what school did you went to? If you're watching us this morning, if you're in the Bahamas, what school did you go to? Put it in the chat for us, please. If you're here in the United States, go ahead and plug in the school that you attend. LaQuez Williams said, Don't fool with that. He said, listen, you know, a fellow with seven brothers, do I know what I'm talking about. But listen, go ahead and drop in what school you went to. LaQuez Williams, drop your school right there.
Baptist school.
Jason Basin says William Gordon.
William Gordon, yes.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about your educational background, your
Oh,
journey.
well, attending Aaron Bailey Senior High School, I had an opportunity to join what we call the Royal Bahamas Police Cadet Corps program. And
So you
that
was a
cadet,
cadet?
yes, police cadet.
I didn't know you was a cadet.
Yes,
You was like a little undercover cop on the school.
undercover cop. And that cadet corps program afforded those who were members an opportunity to go to the College of the Bahamas free. And so, coming from a big family would have been difficult getting to college and university. So I was able to go to the College of the Bahamas free because of the scholarship I got from the Royal Bahamas Cadet Corps. So big up to the Royal Bahamas Police Force. And so I was able to go to the College of the Bahamas to study economics. And once I got to the College of the Bahamas, oh my mind opened up to the world. And you know what, Ricardo Miller? I said, if they could do it, I could do it too.
Yeah.
And from there, in 1995, I listen. I think I was a terror because I said, listen, my grades wasn't all A's and all B's. But listen, yeah, I know I for sure I wanted to become someone and I wanted to get a college education. So I asked my sister, I said, listen, hey, could you do me a favor? Could you sign a loan for me to go to university? And I went to Royal Bank of the Bahamas and I signed up for a $10,000 loan to go to Jacksonville State University in Alabama. And so my sister co-signed and she was able to pay the interest. And out of that $10,000, Ricardo Miller, that was able to school me at my bachelor's level and my master's level in Alabama. And so I went off to the University of Alabama and there in Jacksonville, and I had an opportunity to meet so much people from all walks of life around the world. I met some great friends who are now living in Texas. Masaro Kufa Gamero from Zimbabwe, uh, Emmanuel Dressy, who now live in Atlanta, Georgia, who's a lawyer in Atlanta, Georgia. Pastor Fred Smith, who now pastoring in Anniston, Alabama. Listen, I had an opportunity to open up and expose me to life, as it were. And whilst living in Alabama, I had an opportunity also to mentor a number of young Americans, African Americans at the Anniston Boys and Girls Club. So I was trying to impact the future generation, even though I was in the university. I even taught at the high school in Anniston as a substitute teacher.
Wow.
I also worked at the Juvenile Detention Center in Anniston, Alabama. So, man, listen,
Yeah.
I did what it took
Yep.
to make it happen whilst I was living in Alabama.
Wow.
And so,
Go ahead.
and so once I had finished my bachelor's and my master's degree, I returned home to the Bahamas around in 1998, 99. And initially, I thought that the Bahamas would have consumed me as a young, educated individual back home. But oh my God, reality sat in, being young and qualified, but without the experience.
Yeah.
And so I had to humble myself. And when I returned home, you know what? I got an opportunity to work at the Den Boys Industrial School, Simpson Penn Center for Boys. And I was able to mentor a number of boys for almost 1 year so that was my first year in the public service, mentoring young boys and girls at the Simpson Penn William A. Pratt Center for Boys and Girls. So I did that for a while, and then I was hired as a cooperative officer. Initially in the Ministry of Agriculture and Marine Resources, so that began my what we call public service career. And not only when I talk about educationally and career-wise, my brothers and a number of my friends in the community, we started what we call the Middletown Sporting Cultural Community Development Association. We thought that, in those era in the 1990s, we had a lot of gang situation happening in the Bahamas. And so we decided to say, hey, we are going to be the change we want to see in our community. So we started this organization, association in our community to help mentor the younger generation. And from that mentorship, we were able to impact lives as we know it today.
Man, listen, the ladies and gentlemen, I remember when Quintin Percentie came back from school because you said you were either reading the newspaper or you saw on television. Hey, I know that dude. I know
Oh,
that dude.
yes.
He went to R and Bailey, and you and I connected, and
Yes.
you were, I mean, a pivotal part of the development of who Ricardo Miller is. To this day, I remember your involvement of helping me with government grants, building the team. You know what I'm saying? Structuring the entity to be able to get corporate support, and then even planning a number of initiatives. One of the bigger ones was when we brought those kids from the Bahamas to Texas, and
Yes.
you were a part of that journey, being one of the adults to take, I think, some 45 kids uh, to from the Bahamas to Texas for about
Yes.
5 days.
Yes.
You went on to become an attorney. What
Yes.
sparked that, and where did you go for that? And tell us about that.
Well, after a number of years in the public service, initially I wanted to do a little bit more to assist young, what we call disenfranchised individuals, at-risk individuals in our community. And initially, my late brother Neil Percentie, he said, Quintin, why don't you take the dive and go? I said, law and go to England to do law. I said, Neil, you know how expensive that would be. He said, Quintin, go study the law. Do not worry about the funds. So
Yeah,
Ricardo Miller, if he said, don't worry about the funds, what do you
yeah,
think I did? I
right,
went ahead and
yeah,
I got in at the College of Law in United Kingdom, in Chester, United Kingdom. And it almost, you say, the rest is history, because I didn't have to worry about funding. And my
yeah.
my younger brother was funding me, and
Wow.
obviously I would have done a number of things also to self fund my education. So
Yeah.
I took the dive and I went into the law. I spent about a little over 3 years in the United Kingdom preparing myself in the area of law.
When you were there, you talked about the service that you provided. You got involved there just as you got involved in Alabama. But
Yes.
prior to, and ladies and gentlemen, today I'm interviewing Quintin Percentie, and one of the reasons why I wanted to interview him and I wanted to talk about the person of Quintin Percentie is because I want you to look back over his life. There has been some patterns of intentional engagement
Oh,
that
yes.
brought a higher level of living. One, he was in school involved in the cadet program, a number of other initiatives that brought him at a higher level of engagement when it comes to schooling. Then you see he was talking about transitioning over to Alabama, where not only did he go to school, but he also made sure he was providing a higher level of service in assisting the community there in the various jobs and voluntary services that he was giving. Listen, guys, when we talk about effective living, I want you to know those who are living what we call the admired lifestyle, they have done some work to get there. They've literally put in a number of pieces that most people don't pay attention to. We see the title initially, we don't oftentimes pay attention to the story. Okay? There is a price that has to be paid. And you're hearing here that this brother has a story and a price that he has paid to brought him to the place where he's at today. Now, when you got to London, you extended yourself not just to your books, but you got involved. Tell us a little bit about what you got involved in.
Oh, yes. And just to piggyback on what I said earlier, individuals will normally impact your lives and you're not even aware of it.
Yeah,
I can recall Pastor Fred Smith in Alabama, whilst I was in Alabama, reminding me about it
yeah,
and say, Quintin, even though they would say, I breezed to university,
Yep.
But he always saw me as a lawyer.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
he wondered why I was studying economics.
Right.
And so not only that, but also attending Living Waters Kingdom Ministries.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
I came home with a master's degree and I was mere 22
Yep.
with a master's degree.
Wow.
And then this pastor, he was only Pastor Raymond Wells back then.
Yep.
But he
Yep.
said, listen here, there's more for you. I said,
Yeah.
more for me?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I already have a master's degree, man.
Yeah.
Listen, I thought I was on the top of the world. But those individuals would have impacted my life and caused me to study the area of law.
Yep.
Once I got into United Kingdom, I wanted not only to study, but also to impart young people or the future generation whilst I was living in the United Kingdom.
Yep.
So whilst I was in Manchester, I was able to volunteer at we call it this at-risk facility where young people went to after they got kicked out of university, out of high school, and it was almost like an alternative school.
Yep.
And I was able to provide them and also teach a number of classes. Some of the classes I taught was in the area of law, what we call street law, and also provide them with their rights and responsibilities as a citizen of the United Kingdom.
Yep.
So I was trying to at least taking something in terms of getting an education, but also giving back to the community I was involved in.
Listen, I know you very well, Percentie. We've been friends now for more than 20 years.
Oh,
Easy.
mercy.
And man, looking back, not only have you made a commitment to give, you've also become very skilled in getting.
Yes,
And you're sharp enough to know that listen, I can't just give, but I continue to give, and I'm also
certainly.
going to make sure that I structure myself to take care of me.
Yes,
You've moved on to become an attorney. You're involved in the Kiwanis Club. You've been a Kiwanian for a while now.
yes.
Talk to us about your Kiwanian commitment, because in addition to being a member of the Kiwanis Club, I think it's also connected to R.M. Bailey. Talk to us about that.
Yes, yes. Whilst I was a student at R.M. Bailey, I joined an organization called Key Club. And the Key Club is a junior arm of the Kiwanis Club. When I went to the College of the Bahamas and the university, I also joined Circle K, which was the college level of Kiwanis. And once I returned home, I seeked out that club that sponsored me whilst I was at Aaron Billy. That is the Kiwanis Club of Over the Hill.
Yep.
And from that day to now, I've been a member of the Kiwanis Club of Over the Hill.
Wow.
And in fact, this weekend we are raffling a car. We trying to get a scholarship going now, so we're raffling a car on Saturday.
Yes, yes, nice. How can persons get a ticket?
Oh, listen, we are going to be on Montrose Avenue all day today and tomorrow. The raffle is on Saturday. Tickets are just $1. No VAT, Ricardo
Wow.
Miller.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Listen, what when you start thinking about people and the decisions that they make, you've over the years you've watched people make good decisions that
Yeah,
catapult them forward, and you've watched people make some crazy
yeah.
decision. What comes to mind when it comes to law and common mistakes that you see people making that you feel as though, my God, you should know better?
Some of the things that I would have noticed is the first thing that, especially with young people today seems to have a challenge of asking for advice and before they make the decision, before
Wow.
they make a jump,
Yeah.
and just simple advice, on how they can go about getting something done. Or yes, I know by asking questions, it will open them up to the possibilities or the
Yeah.
choices they are able to make
Listen,
or
I
should be
like,
making.
before you further continue to expound on that, that is such a major one, man. That's a great point, because I've been teaching. Someone is assigned to help you.
Yes, yes,
You're not alone. Along your journey, you've met so many people that have
yes,
assisted you while you
mhm,
were in London, while you were in Alabama, while you
yes,
were back home. You mentioned your brother, you mentioned your
yes,
sister, you mentioned,
yes,
you know what I'm saying?
yes,
Fred Smith. There's
yes,
always been someone.
yes,
Asking
yes,
for advice has
yes,
obviously helped you
Yes.
Talk to us about what pulls people back from embracing advice from those they have access to that they can actually utilize to help them probably move out of where they are.
I always tell, especially some of my godsons, I say, listen here, normally people are in your life to help you, but you have to be careful. Some people are in your life to hurt you.
Yes.
You have to know the difference between of those H's who
Yes.
are in your life to help you
Yeah.
and to hurt you.
Yeah.
All right. Once you recognize the difference,
Yeah.
it is your responsibility now
Yeah.
to engage, as it
Yes.
were. Okay, to engage them and to don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to say, listen here, how can I get in contact with you? How should I communicate with you?
Yeah.
Ask the question, and I'm sure you will get the answer.
Listen, before you give me two more of what you believe is common mistakes young people make, when we look at, somebody's calling you. You're such a busy man. I mean, fella got these calls coming through. Hey, go take that call, Percentie. You got the call. Ladies and gentlemen, he mentioned two things, the 2H. I like that, help and hurt. I want you to write that down, put that in the chat box. There are two types of people that oftentimes come in your life. There are people who will come to help, and there will be people who come to hurt. And here's the deal. If you keep going towards people who are hurting you without studying the characteristics of a person who came to hurt you, you can find yourself for a long time being hurt only to say people are bad. Oh man, I don't trust anyone. Now, what you're doing there is throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Certainly.
The reality of it is everybody's not bad. You're just not doing the work to identify the characteristics of a person who is in my life to help, and the characteristics of a person who is actually clearly hurting me. And sometimes, Percentie, people who come to hurt are packaged in all different sizes, and they come in all different range, meaning they can be in
Yes.
your house, in your
Yes.
neighborhood, from your past. Am I right?
Yes.
And then the
Yes.
same
Yes.
thing in relations to people who are there to help. Doing the
Yes.
work, the importance of doing the work to learn the behaviors necessary for not going around the same mountain, not getting hurt over and over. Talk to us about that, because sometimes, fellas say, man, listen, the system just against me. Well, it's no, the system ain't against you. You are clearly not taking advice either from the right people. Clearly, you are not educating yourself to ensure that you know what you need to know, or you are misinterpreting what is being said and you're hearing me, but you're not listening. Talk to us, man, about people on this hurt and help again. You got to bring that in a little bit.
Listen, it's what we call it's a fine line.
Yeah.
All right, to knowing the difference. However, as you would have indicated, God always put people in your life to help explain,
Yeah.
help identify, and to help analyze the situation that you're in, first and foremost. Okay, and take a step back, and you within your own mind's eye. A lot of people normally just don't take the step back and do what we call an introspection.
Yeah.
All right, into your life and your situation, and to know the difference of how those persons who are coming into your life, you know, um, and then initially individuals will not look at their conditions, those type of things. Yeah.
Let me tell you. Let me ask you this: up and coming students who say they want to be lawyers. You've seen them. They've come around court. They work in the office, and yeah, it's important. You need to take that so I can pull you off screen and bring you back.
No.
All right. And so I think it's important that they know that someone knows what they don't know. So what advice you have for someone who is coming up who says, I want to be an attorney, but and you could see one or two common mistakes that are being made that, boy, you keep that same journey that you're on as the route you're about to take is going to hurt you, if not possibly cause you to not even get what you're desiring. What advice would you say for that young emerging attorney who's listening to us that says this is what I want to be, but you've seen common mistakes being made by them that can hinder them from becoming an attorney.
Okay. One of the first common mistakes young people make is to know that the area of law, the law is of what we call a jealous mistress. All right, it requires you to have your full attention and to the area of law. So if the area of law does not have your full attention, it is very easy for you to slip back. And if you slip back in the area of law, you could almost cause you to do a whole semester over because you were not focused.
Wow.
So the key for young people is if you're going to study the area of law, you must be focused on the subject matter, okay? Because again, the area law is a very jealous mistress. It requires you to be rather focused. Once you are focused, and then you will have to discipline yourself, okay? So focus and discipline is two aspects of the law, that two areas that you really need in order for you to master the area of law. Yes. Um, when I went off to university in the United Kingdom, I said, what strategy I'm going to employ in order for me to master this area? So you know what I did? I treated the law or the study of the law or reading law as a full-time employment.
Wow.
So whether I had an 8 o'clock class, I was at my university 8 o'clock in the morning, and whether my class came out at 12 noon at 1 o'clock, I stayed to my college, my university, up to 5, 6 p.m. Because what I did, I prepared myself for the following day, all of my homeworks, assignments, so that at least I was ahead of the game. Okay, and so once I got home, I still had a few more hours to do some other checks. So that's what I did. I treated studying law as a full-time job.
Mm. And see, a lot of persons don't realize someone has gone ahead of you and has mastered what you're wanting to do. And I think it's learning from those, like you're saying right now, you did it and they can learn from you. And it goes back to what you said a little bit earlier, being willing to ask questions. That is so cool. Let me ask you this. What advice would you give Quintin Percentie, 20-year-old Quintin Percentie? I mean, 20-year-old Quintin Percentie was this young buck who, in Alabama doing this thing, and now, so many years later, looking back, what would you say to Quintin Percentie that someone could really appreciate, knowing that and have had some experience that you didn't know at that point?
Believe it or not, Ricardo Miller, a 20-year-old Quintin Percentie was a very disciplined, very focused, driven individual. I packed up my bags, and on my lonesome, I was on a plane to Atlanta, Georgia, and going to parts of America I never been before, all by myself. I had my lecturer and her husband and her 2 children on the same flight with me. And they were asking me, where your family? And nobody was traveling with me. I travel all by myself. But I was focused, I was driven, and I was determined to get a college education and to be what we call, quote unquote, a somebody, as it were, in the community. For young people, I would say this, looking in retrospect, I think I should have had a little bit more fun. But I will tell young people, listen, enjoy the process.
Enjoy the process. That's a great one, man.
Enjoy the process. I might have been a little bit rigid.
Could
And looking back,
could that be an understatement?
My friend said, man, you flew to university, man. So I will tell him, enjoy the university experience. I have a nephew now in Barbados and studying in Barbados. Hopefully he's listening now, as I'm not sending you that little check.
Yeah, yeah.
He's in Barbados now, and listen, he's enjoying the process. He,
Mhm.
he spent a semester in Canada studying at a university in Canada. So I tell him, listen, embrace education, but
Yeah.
enjoy the process. All
I
right?
I like that. I like that. I've been teaching lately, just as much as you mentioned the need to be disciplined and focused. There are some things you can go back and do from a fun perspective at 20 when you're
Yes.
45.
Oh, mercy.
Because it will be irresponsible. It
Mm,
will be now considered childish. And
yes,
so
yes,
certain things are to be enjoyed and done in a window period
yes,
that
yes,
you
yes,
can't miss. And if you
yes.
miss it, you can only
Mm,
look back and say, well, I didn't do it. And I like the fact that you were very transparent and honest in that regard, because I
yeah.
think you're correct. There is so
Mm,
much that people miss in certain seasons of their lives.
right.
And
Yes, yes.
even in the discipline driven season of acquiring that degree, you got to
Mhm,
understand there are certain levels of enjoyment where you
yes.
can now do these things because you don't have a number of responsibilities. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Mm,
The scripture says, when I was a child, I act as a child, I
yes,
think as a
yes.
child, I do things as children do. And so there is a window where you can get away with certain things. And then after a while, you got to say, you know what, I'm too grown for that. Great stuff, Percentie. Last but not least, how do you want to be remembered? You've done tremendous in the service you provide currently for your community. You go back to the school you went to at
Yes.
high school, and you provided service there. And then here in the United States, while you were here, while you were in Europe, when it all boils down, how do Quintin Percentie wants to be remembered?
Well, do anyone, well, I want to be remembered in the humblest way as a person who assisted, who challenged, all right, and also who encouraged others to become all that they would like to become in this earth.
Yeah,
And I also like to be remembered that, listen here, life sometimes would have thrown you some curveballs.
pause. Yeah,
All right. Life might have even served you a lemon, but
yeah,
what do?
yeah,
You make lemonade.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
So whatever life throw at you,
yeah,
you want to be able to use it to your best benefit. So I would like to be remembered as someone who would have assisted, who served, and who also impacted the community, as it were,
yeah.
in my
Well,
own small way.
you're doing a phenomenal job. You guys just did something great for Thanksgiving.
Yes, yes,
There in your community, you guys did something great. You've done something great there with I think tablets for students. And
yes,
just this holiday season, as we bring this to a close, remind persons to just, if they can, choose to give back and provide.
yes,
Could
yes,
you close
yes,
us with that? Because you've been
yeah.
really good at making sure that you give back. And
Mhm.
there are people who will be watching us who could, when they're ordering tablets for their kids, they can order an extra 2 tablets and
Yes,
give
yes.
it to someone that they know in
Mhm.
need of a tablet, rather than just
Mhm.
simply being the
Yeah.
self-centered person that they may have been, but encourage them to give back as we close.
It is always important. We used, whilst we were children, used to sing a song saying, love is something that you
Give it
give it away,
away. Yeah,
give it away.
yeah,
Yes, you
yeah,
remember that?
yeah,
Um, it is very important, even during this pandemic and even during this economic downturn in the economy. We have to remember the least among us.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
remember those next door neighbor who might be an orphan. And so as you shop for your children, as you shop for your grandchildren, as you shop for your nephew and nieces, remember those who are less fortunate. Purchase an extra toy for a kid in your community.
yeah.
Purchase an extra tablet if you're traveling. purchase an active tablet to a less fortunate child who are not doing their homework assignments, not doing their school assignments as it were, and be aware. In fact, the Minister of Education indicated that there are some 20% of students who have not logged into the virtual reality school, online school as yet. So so the need is there. So we just have to do what we can to as much as we can,
Yeah.
as long as we can.
Excellent. Quintin Percentie, thank you very much for joining me on this early Friday morning. Go
Yeah.
ahead, continue to crush it, man. Listen, I'm excited about the future. You and I, we've been working together, making a lot of incredible things happen over the years. I wanted people to know Quintin Percentie, his journey up to this point. Looking forward to seeing what you continue to do as you maximize your potential and provide a service to humanity that only you can give. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Effective Living Friday morning live conversation with Coach Ricardo Miller and my special guest, Quintin Percentie. Tomorrow morning, join me the same time. I have another person coming in, and he's coming in from Alabama. It's
Yeah.
not the mutual friend of ours, but an Alabamian is coming in. I don't know if that's what they call them. But once again, thank you, Mr. Quintin Percentie. Listen, guys, have a phenomenal day. We're out. God bless you all. Bye-bye.